Yeah. All right, let me think.
Do you have any fun stories, like a tournament you played in, or just a chess story in general, like something that really stands out to you as an experience?
Okay, so maybe approximately, what kind of story you think you might be looking for, like?
Just something that you tell at parties. I don't know.
I don't go to very many parties. Let me think. Okay, here's one. So I was supposed to go to this award ceremony in St. Louis on January 7th. In St. Louis, and they were awarding the gold medal team, and I was the coach in the gold medal team in 2016. It was supposed to be the whole team and then a couple of sponsors, including Garry Kasparov, who was supposed to be, I think, guest speaker there. Not totally sure, but something like that. And it was snowy day that day. And so a lot of people came there a day earlier, so they made it fine. But I got my flight for 6:50 a.m. that day, but then my flight got unexpectedly cancelled without a specific reason. And the thing is, it didn't snow just yet at 6:50. It would have been fine, but they canceled it maybe for another reason. Maybe weather over there or something, like along the way. And so then I was rerouted to another flight, but by then it was already, it was saying on time, and then suddenly out of nowhere it canceled it. Already it started to snow, and apparently it was already too much snow. And it looked like it was it was very annoying because I wanted to be at that event, that meal, dinner where they were, giving out awards and, stuff like that. But then it turned out that Garry Kasparov also had a flight around that time when I was supposed to fly, and already they were canceling all the flights. And we were both in the same boat. And then it happened that, I was calling, the organizers, so what should we do? And, they tried to get a private plane for Garry Kasparov. So they tried to let me also join. And so eventually that all got canceled because already it became a blizzard and no flights got to go anyway. But it was like, it was like similar to a situation when, let's say, a couple of people get stuck in the elevator for like hours and they have nothing to do, so then they just start talking. So just like randomly, me and Kasparov, we've never really talked before, but then we just start engaged in the conversation in the most unexpected situation. And we started talking about the team, the US, the future of US, his students in the Kasparov Chess Foundation, and the match, maybe Koryakin against Carlsen, and just future of US and things like that. And it was just quite a unique experience to actually get a chance to just socialize with Garry Kasparov. So that was a good consolation for me for like not being able to go to that event.
What do you do in your spare time when you're not coaching chess or playing?
I like to go for walks. I like to do my physical exercise because I feel like physical exercise is one of the most important things I do, because it's not only good for my health but also for my chess stamina. So that's a very big part of my life. So I like to socialize with my family, friends, and just relax. Maybe read a good book. I sort of like spiritual literature.
Or recently made your Twitch channel, started streaming, so a lot of people are getting into that nowadays. Do you envision like actually trying to grow your channel, or will it always be something that you just do on the side for fun?
Yeah, well, I'm trying to basically grow an online business because I feel like, in the long run, I want to be a chess teacher. It's something I really enjoy. And I feel like if I build an online business, that I'll just broaden my horizons. Then I'll be able to teach players all over the world. And then I won't be necessarily stuck to just one location for the whole life, stuck to my students, let's say, who I travel to, let's say. And that'll give me much more flexibility in the long run in life. And I feel like promoting my stream, my Twitch, will help me potentially with building my online brand.
Like, what's the most intense training regimen you've made for yourself or undergone, let's say, in preparation for a specific game or tournament?
Well, probably the most intense training I've had is when I've traveled abroad for like a 10-day span, training with a couple of other GMs, just working on a lot of openings and stuff like that.
Where did
Maybe
you go?
calculation. Georgia a couple of times, because my coach is Georgi Kachishvili, he's a Georgian, and a couple of times he invited me there to work with some of the Georgian players.
Nice.
So, that was, intense, maybe 6-7 hours of training every day there. But on a regular day, I would say I train maybe an average of 3 to 5 hours a week. 3 to 5 hours a day. I probably do more chess, but when you say train, where like I work on chess, I analyze my games, I work on openings, maybe do tactics, something that's called active training. Probably an average of maybe 3 hours per day, probably no more. Probably I should be doing more, but now I've been getting more busy with teaching as well. So I feel like it's, in the long run, this is something I like to do, and something I want to dedicate my career to, because it's something I really enjoy much more. And in chess, unless you become a top 10 player in the world, it's also not as easy to make money in chess. Could be sometimes stressful, so I want to play chess for fun, do chess teaching, because it's something I naturally enjoy.
Do you have a pre-game ritual or warm-up? Maybe a favorite food or drink or activity?
Not necessarily, no. Yeah, I don't have a what's it called, a tradition or something like that I'm used to. In fact, very often if I win with a certain pen, I change my pen, because I try to get out of these superstitions, because in my opinion that can lead you in bad directions. I try to stay away from that as much as I can, because I know it's very tempting to get sucked into that kind of thing. So
Shanklin had a lucky shirt. I think he talked about he wore it 3 times during the U.S. Championship.
No, Shanklin just works very hard, and at his chess, at his openings, at his calculation, he trains very hard. He doesn't feel sorry for himself. He doesn't ever play lazy chess, and he works very hard. He really wants it badly. He has a very strong character. That's why he wins games, not because of a pen or underwear, something like that.
So, do you care for any chess variants, like Bughouse or Fischer Random 3-check?
Yeah, I enjoy them. I enjoy all of them. Bughouse I enjoy. I'm not particularly great at it, but I enjoy it. And on a normal day I would want to play Bughouse. I might even be willing to play the Bughouse tournament tomorrow, assuming I'm not too tired. It's just that there's a lot of work to do, obviously, and the main priority here is obviously to make sure I do whatever I can for the kids to improve, and that's the self-evaluation process is extremely important, and I don't want to miss details if I can, because of a 2-hour Bughouse event. So if I can manage to give the kids everything I need with playing Bughouse, then I guess I can play, but I don't want it to interfere with potentially doing the most important thing. And also 3 checks I definitely like. I think it's very similar to chess. It has a lot of strategies. It's all about prophylaxis in a lot of ways, thinking about opponents' ideas. It's very important in 3 checks. So it raises that awareness. Bughouse is good for tactics and also good for teamwork, seeing what the teammate needs and stuff like that, and thinking also unconventionally, out of the box. So Bughouse is very good also for creativity. Fischer Random is it's just basically chess, but it helps you play non-standard positions. So I feel like all of these variants are very good. King of the Hill I've never actually tried playing. I know it's like a relatively new game, but I'm familiar with its existence because of chess.com, and I've seen Hikaru Nakamura and Danny Rensch play a couple of games, but or maybe it was NVL, but not really familiar in the strategies of that game as of right now. But yeah, I'm sure all of these chess variants, you shouldn't really be addicted to them, you shouldn't really play them all the time, but those are basically games that once in a while you can play. Each one of them probably brings something positive to the chess games, as long as it doesn't become addictive, as long as it doesn't become overused and distracts you from something else which is important.
If you could describe chess in one word, what would it be and why?
One word, okay. War. In order to be really a top chess player, you have to really be a warrior. If you're not a warrior, then you're never going to be able to use your maximum potential. And because at some point you're going to let psychological things get in your way. But if you're a warrior, then no matter what happens, you're always going to stand up on your feet and not lie on the ground. Because like, let's say when you fall down on the ground, literally, you're not going to stay on the ground, you're going to get up. So same thing in life and in chess. It's similar as in life. In life, we're also warriors in a way, because we have to fight things all the time. Our weaknesses, opponents' weaknesses, and sometimes difficult obstacles. So same thing in chess. We have to always fight something, our own thoughts, our own weaknesses, our opponent's strong moves. Sometimes, very often, things at the chessboard don't occur the way we've planned. In fact, most games, everything doesn't go smoothly, everything according to plan. Usually we will miss something, an opponent plays something we don't enjoy. So things are not very smooth in the game. So you have to really love the game to pretty much persevere and stick with it. And you have to be a very strong personality guy. And that basically comes down to being a warrior. It's like in a war you can't feel sorry for yourself, and you have to be so tough and solid as a rock. And the same thing in chess. You have to, be able to deal with the circumstances and not let them get to you. And that's why I think it's basically like a war. It's a battle. It's a sport. Every sport is like a war in a way. It's between two players or two teams. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
It's perfect.